Hello and welcome to Football Daily, where today we've made an 11 of the most underrated players from outside the Prem's traditional big clubs, using just one player from each team. Let's start in goal. Goalkeeper, Karl Darlow. With so many goals scored, it's tough to find a keeper excelling right now. Last season, the division saw an average of 2.72 goals per game, but so far in 2021, that's risen to 3.79 a match, with even Liverpool and Man City not immune to pummelings. That's been helped by a raft of soft penalties, but even so, just 4 stoppers have conceded fewer goals than XG would predict, with Newcastle's Karl Darlow the best of the bunch. Over the first 5 game weeks, XG suggests that the Englishman had already saved his side nearly 2 goals, helping the Magpies into 12th position. That's especially impressive given that the 29-year-old hasn't played a minute of league football in the last 2 campaigns, and just 10 games in total since he helped the club return to the Premier League in 2017. Though it's not like that's his fault, as his replacement Martin Dubravka led the competition in saves last season. With the Slovakian still sidelined at the time of writing, Darlow has shown himself to be an able deputy and deserves to keep his place. Defender, Timothy Castagne. Beating out Tariq Lamptey is Timothy Castagne, whose September signing had us sceptical. The Belgian is Leicester's 8th most expensive signing ever, and it was hard to see him replacing Ricardo Pereira on the right, or being a good fit for left back, given he's right-footed. However, Castagne's start to life in the Midlands has been impressive. You'd expect an ex-Atalanta player to be good in attack, and Castagne grabbed 3 goal involvements in his first 4 games, putting him just 2 off Pereira's contribution in the whole of last season, and 3 off Chilwell's. But more surprising have been his other qualities. He may not be a huge dribbler with one take on a game, but he's careful with the ball, losing possession less than anyone in the squad bar Vardy, and in his appearances so far he's yet to be dribble passed, winning the ball 3 times per 90 minutes. He's even better in the air than the centre-backs, winning 63% of his aerial duels to Söyüncü's 50% and Evans' 33%, and his versatility should serve the club well as they compete for top 4 and the Europa League. Before we go any further, just a quick reminder to subscribe to Football Daily and hit that notification bell to never miss one of our fantastic 11s. Defender, James Tarkowski. Weirdly, after 4 match weeks, the only teams allowing more goals per game than Burnley were West Brom, Fulham, Man United and Liverpool. But Dyche's side have been unlucky. Only 5 teams are currently conceding less XG per game, but Nick Pope has been uncharacteristically poor, stopping just 40% of shots on target for the 3rd worst save percentage in the division. And to make matters worse, they coughed up an own goal and a penalty in the first 3 games. Hardly a recipe for mid-table safety. However, James Tarkowski should help. The target of £30 million bids from Leicester and West Ham over the summer, he missed the first 2 fixtures of the campaign, but is a guaranteed starter for Dyche as one of just 3 footballers under 28 to play 1,000 minutes for the Clarets last year. In fact, he didn't miss a game all season, and was the league's most dominant defender in the air, ranking 3rd for aerials 1 in the competition, while losing possession only 4 times in 38 appearances, and completing a solid 3/4 of his challenges. If Burnley are to overcome a gloomy start to the season, Tarkowski will have to be their shining light. Defender, Tyreek Mitchell. Crystal Palace's ageing squad and insane wage bill have long made them relegation favourites at the FD office, but the start to 2021 has been surprisingly positive. Eze's signing has allowed Zaha to feature further forward, and just as in 18-19, the club's academy has produced an exciting defensive prospect, with 21-year-old Tyreek Mitchell a nailed-on starter in the opening exchanges. With no dribbles completed so far and little aerial presence, Mitchell is a less rounded prospect than Aaron Wan-Bissaka was, but like the United man, he's outstanding in the tackle. In his first 4 games, Mitchell averaged 5.6 defensive actions a game, and completed 19 of the 21 challenges he attempted, a 90% success rate. Sound familiar? And his lack of expansiveness on the ball has compensations. Despite facing Chelsea, Everton, United and Southampton, Mitchell rarely got caught out, losing possession just once in those 4 games. By comparison, Andy Robertson has lost it 3 times and Kyle Walker 4 times since the campaign commenced. A shutdown defender with no delusions of grandeur, Mitchell is a perfect Hodgson player. A solid career at the top level beckons. Right midfield, Leandro Trossard. The reason we couldn't include Tariq Lamptey or Yves Bissouma was to make room for Leandro Trossard, who has been unplayable so far in 2021. The attacker, who is surprisingly old at 25, scored in the unlucky loss to Chelsea, assisted in a win over Newcastle, and hit the woodwork 3 times against Man United, looking sure to improve on his 8 goal involvements from last season as he bedded into the division. Trossard's expected goals and assists per 90 have risen from 0.45 to 0.66 already, and he's equally at home creating or getting on the end of chances, with 3 shots and 2.3 key passes per game. But his importance to Brighton goes deeper than that, as right now the Belgian ranks second in the league for passes into the penalty area each game, a sign of great vision, behind only Salah, level with Alexander-Arnold and ahead of Kevin De Bruyne. Unlike Graham Potter, the Seagulls look a dynamic and exciting team who can compete with the league's better sides. And with the second youngest squad in the Prem, they can only get better. Central midfield, Andre Frank Zambo Anguissa. It'll come as no surprise that Adama Traore leads the league in completed dribbles with 22 at the time of writing. But it might be a shock to learn Anguissa is second with 18 after 4 rounds of fixtures, an average of 5.5 a game. You've probably missed it in Fulham being terrible, but Anguissa is not, returning to London after helping Villarreal finish 5th in La Liga. The Yellow Submarine offered £22.5 million to make the loan permanent, but Scott Parker widely demurred. Keeping the 24-year-old at Craven Cottage for what is likely to be a tough campaign. And once again, he looks promising. The Cameroonian has always been a defensive rock, and now wins the ball 4.5 times a game. But his freer role in Spain has improved his passing range, with 1.8 chances created per 90. In fact, he compares well to the league's most expensive midfielders, with more rounded stats than Lo Celso or Thomas Partey. We're not suggesting he's better than those players, though at 3 years younger than Partey he could yet be. But he's certainly too good for a second relegation. We hope he can avoid it. Central midfield, Tomas Soucek. Squint at David Moyes' West Ham and you could see the shape of his old Everton sides. Fornals is his new Stephen Pienaar, Antonio a physical bully like Cahill and Anichebe, and in the engine room Tomas Soucek looms over everyone like Marouane Fellaini, a towering presence who somehow combines the roles of central midfielder and target man to great effect. Last season David Silva was the only midfielder who got more shots in the box than Soucek, and this year he's head and shoulders ahead of the competition, making 3 attempts on goal a game with 2.3 from inside the box, the same as Lacazette and more than Vardy or Firmino. He also leads midfielders in aerial wins with over 5 a game, way ahead of Dendoncker in second with 3.5, and still finds time to crunch into a few challenges, regaining possession for the Irons over 4 times per 90, trailing only Rice and Balbuena amongst his teammates. Costing Moyes £15 million at 25 years old, the Czech is a rare bargain purchase for a club used to overpaying. Left midfield, Jack Grealish. Finally given his England call-up at 25, Jack Grealish is late to the big stage, but is quickly making up for lost time. Rather than downing tools after a summer of transfer speculation, the midfielder signed a new 5-year contract with Aston Villa, who ended the previous campaign in good form, going unbeaten in their last 4 and with the 6th best defence in the league after the restart. Dean Smith's team has taken it up a notch in 2021, with 12 points from their first 12 available, including a staggering 7-2 humbling of champions Liverpool, the first time in Premier League history the title holders have allowed so many goals. And of the 12 the villains netted in those opening fixtures, Grealish was involved in 6, with more assists than anyone in the league bar Harry Kane, and more chances created than everyone except Salah, Kevin De Bruyne and James Rodriguez. To put up those numbers on a team which narrowly avoided relegation is something special, and with Ollie Watkins ahead of him, a former winger himself, Grealish has license to run into space and look for goals. He may yet have another level to go to. Attacking midfielder, James Rodriguez. With 8 titles, 2 Champions Leagues and more than £125 million in transfer fees across his career, James Rodriguez is perhaps Everton's most glamorous signing ever, and after a few short weeks on Merseyside, is already one of the best players in the league. In the first month or 4 fixtures, the Toffees netted 3 goals a game to top the division, and James contributed to 5 of the club's 12 strikes, a tally exceeded by just 3 Premier League players. Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin may not be as talented as Ronaldo and Lewandowski, but Rodriguez has been just as able to provide for them. At the time of writing, only Salah and De Bruyne have created more chances than the 29-year-old, but he isn't just lurking around the box, ranking 8th in the Prem for passes into the final third and 5th for progressive passes. Everything goes through him, and he's even shown the work rate he developed under Ancelotti in Munich, making 3 tackles and interceptions a match, more than Sadio Mane. In a crowded race for 4th spot, Rodriguez's star power makes Everton a serious threat. Having arrived on a free, he's the bargain of the summer and has already paid the club back. Forward, Che Adams. Danny Ings was too obvious and Soucek ruled out Antonio, so a left field shout makes our front line. Southampton forward Che Adams. The 24-year-old was almost a meme last season, taking a year and 4 days to score his first top-flight goal, but he added 3 more and 2 assists before the end of the campaign, finishing with a respectable 6 in just over 1,000 minutes. Under the hood there was reason for optimism with 3 shots and over 0.6 expected goals a game for the Englishman. about the same as Diogo Jota. And while 2021 has started with some poor finishing, we're betting it will run out soon. Though he grabbed just 1 assist in the first month of the season, XG suggested Adams should have had 3 goal contributions, at a rate of 0.76 a game. Not just an improvement on the previous year, but 12th in the division. And in a side taking just 10 shots a game, Adams has had a hand in a third of those attempts, making him more important to the team than he appears. Despite a rocky start, we expect the Saints to bounce back, and Adams will be key to any revival. Forward, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We're breaking our one man from each team rule here because Dominic Calvert-Lewin simply couldn't miss out on our 11. At the time of writing, the Englishman is joint top of the Premier League scoring charts, scoring 7 in his first 5 games, and he was already over half his tally in the whole of last season before the first international break. DCL came on leaps and bounds in Carlo Ancelotti's first 6 months, significantly improving his shot output from 2.5 a game to 3, and this year he's entering elite territory, with 4 attempts per 90, a mark only Aguero, Gabby Jesus and Salah reached last term. Hat-tricks in the Prem and EFL Cup saw him become the first Everton player to hit a triple twice in a month since 1931, and he's already one of the most impressive aerial attackers in England at 23, with 8 headed goals since the beginning of 1920, more than anyone else in that period. Having spent £526 million since 2016, it's ironic that the Toffees have finally found a potential world-class striker in a man who cost them just £1.6 million. So guys, that was our underrated 11 of players outside the traditional top 6. What did you guys think of the list? Did we miss anyone out? Let me know in the comments down below. As ever, if you enjoyed the video, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.